Round 7 of Jägermeister Cup is upon us, and we are here to break it all down and give previews of the upcoming matches. Welcome to another oh my gosh, I'm already tripping over my words. Welcome to another episode of League One on the Rocks. My name is Rich. You can find me on Twitter at I'm Rich, but I'm not. Man across from me, that is Brian. You can find him on Twitter at Mediocre Ace. How you doing, man?
I'm doing a lot better than I was last week. I missed the Omaha Madison match due to COVID, so that sucks, but I'm back and no sign of COVID anymore, so we're
You
good to
missed a
go.
good one.
Yeah, unfortunately. I had to watch it sitting in the chair back over here.
Yep. What was it what was it like rooting for Union Omaha in that kind of a match away from it all, being at home?
Horrible. It sucked.
Yeah.
Never want to do it again, but um, yeah, one of those things, though. I mean, I don't want to go out and get everybody else sick. I might as well just stay sick at home and annoy my neighbors by yelling at the TV. So,
I'm sure you did plenty of that during that match too.
very much so, yes. Lots of false alarms, that's for sure.
Well, in typical fashion, we're gonna jump straight into what we're drinking tonight. What are you going with tonight?
Literally right before the show started, I jumped up and went and grabbed myself one of the tall boy bush lights that I had in my fridge.
There you go.
Felt like doing it tonight. It's nice outside. Why not?
I am not drinking. I'm drinking water tonight. I have an early morning and a late night tomorrow, so um, can't exactly start my day off on the wrong foot tomorrow. So, got to go with water tonight.
Fair. Very fair.
Yeah.
And in the chat,
Well,
we
look,
already have Zach saying, doing bedtime with the kiddos. He'll be in and out. Good to see you, boys. Been a bit since I've been able to chat or to catch a live. Zach's good to see you.
good to see you too, man.
And just with some of the stuff going around, we're probably not going to touch on it, but just know that I understand. I understand where you're at, and yeah, hopefully that gets handled, man, because it was not handled correctly the first time.
Completely agree, Zach. We're right there with you, man. We support you.
And Tim, ranting Blue Penguin Media, asking you, Rich, did Hurricane Debbie not give you enough water?
So I made a bit of a joke. I don't think a whole lot of people caught on to the sarcasm, or if they did, they just didn't think it was funny. Um, but since Union Omaha is handing out tickets for all the registrations for the Jägermeister sweepstakes, I said that we should have been collecting raindrops from Tropical Storm Debbie and giving those out to fans for free. Um, People didn't find that too terribly funny, but oh well. It's cost effective.
It is, and you know what? And we've talked about it before, and I think we are going to continue to talk about it. Money is tight in League One, and anything you can do, throw your logo on pretty much anything these days, and sell it out, and people are
Yep.
going to buy it.
Yep. And before we get into any of the Jägermeister stuff, look, I gotta admit, I'm a little distracted tonight. Um, this is Drum Corps World Championship week, so tonight was quarterfinals. I have one of the monitors showing me scores as we go throughout the night, so I may be looking over to my side quite a bit tonight to check and see if there's any updates on that situation. Repping the corps that I marched with out of Denver, the Blue Knights tonight.
Very
I
nice.
decided to keep the Colorado theme and go with Hailstorm up top too. So
Mm-hmm.
there we go.
Yeah, another addition to the scarf wall. If anybody has not seen it yet, Northern Colorado scarf again. Big thanks to them
Yeah.
for sending some stuff out and showing some love.
Yep. Big thanks to that club. That was incredibly generous of them. They didn't have to do that, but the fact that they did, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, I'm more than happy to rep the club too. So,
Yep.
and I'm doing it this week because next week Tormenta plays Northern Colorado, and I'm not going to wear this next week.
No, you can't. That's a big no no.
Yeah, another choice of a hat that I have is Richmond, but I'm not wearing that because we play them Saturday. So Sorry, Richmond fans, I'm not wearing that hat tonight.
Nope, can't do it. You cannot do that. And I mean, I already feel kind of bad anytime I go out with the hailstorm hat or the Tormenta warm up jersey. It already feels like I'm doing Union Omaha dirty. But you know what? They were nice enough to get that stuff out to us, and so I'll rep it with pride. So
Yep, exactly. I don't, did I ever tell you the story behind the Richmond Kickers hat?
no,
Okay, so this was week 3 when we traveled up to Richmond to play at City Stadium, and I went to. So I was meeting some friends there because they live in Richmond, so I wanted to watch the match with them. And I didn't have to do any like press work in the box or anything like that, so I was able to sit in the stands with my friends. And I'm walking around with my Tormenta gear on, and I wanted to go over to the merch store to check out some of the items that they had on sale at the team store. We get to the front gates, and I'm thinking, all right, like just keep your head down. Hopefully, no one sees that you're a Tormenta person heading toward the team store. And as I'm walking over toward the team store, there's Yogi like walking in the gates, and it's like he sees me right off the bat. So we give each other a big hug and talk to each other for a little bit. But after he went off to do some of his match day duties, my friends and I went over to the team store, and we were standing a little bit farther back. And I told my friend, "Hey, there's a Richmond hat that I really want you to get, but I can't be seen buying it wearing Tormenta gear. So I'm going to give you my card. Go up there and buy it for me." And so he walks up there, and I told him which hat I wanted, but I pointed to the wrong one. And so he was going to buy the red Richmond hat with the kangaroo silhouette, but there's like a heart on it. But I just wanted the kangaroo silhouette, not the heart. And so he's going through the transaction to buy the wrong hat. And I'm thinking, son of a gun, I got to get in there. So here I am in my Tormenta gear. I walk up to the counter. I'm like, nope, sorry. Can we change it out? I want that hat instead of that one. So yeah, I I bought some Richmond merch wearing my Tormenta gear. Totally guilty.
I mean it happens, especially when you get up there when you get to travel with the team like you do. I feel like that's acceptable. I feel like everybody should have some extra merch from the places they visit. So I think you can get a pass for that one.
Yeah. I we'll see if I get a scarf or something like that tomorrow when I'm at City Stadium Saturday. We'll see. I don't know, but I'm excited for Saturday's match. It's gonna be good.
Oh, definitely should be a good one.
Yeah. So anybody that's listening, um, if you're a Richmond fan, you're gonna be at City Stadium. If you see me walking around, please stop, say hi, let's chat, let's hang out. Like I just want to see everybody hang out, have some fun. Um, and if you want to talk some shit, like go ahead. I can't give it in return because I'm on the clock, but I'll be more than happy to listen.
And report back here later.
Exactly.
There you go.
Well, we are heading straight into round 7 action, starting as early as tomorrow night, right? Because Union Omaha and Fuego play tomorrow.
Yes, a little League One after dark action.
Yeah.
Union Omaha traveling to Central Valley Fuego. Um, Kind of a weird time for these two teams, honestly. You have Union Omaha coming off, I would call it a disappointing draw to Forward Madison, and Fuego coming off a win. So doesn't happen very often as Fuego, but maybe this is the spark. I know we've in previous episodes mentioned that all it takes is a single spark for a team to really get going and build some momentum. And it seems like that could have been something that Central Valley started this past week.
They're no longer going to win the wooden spoon if we look at the current standings.
Mm-hmm. Those little building blocks, we talked about it.
Yep.
That's one step down. Just got to keep going.
It's amazing what back-to-back wins will do for your standing in the table.
Mm-hmm. Gotta
Well, on
love it.
top of the match we have tomorrow night, we also have 4 on Saturday and then another one Tuesday night. We
Yeah.
could even say that we're getting a double dose of League One after dark with
Yeah.
that match on Tuesday with in Spokane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 10 o'clock Eastern kick between Spokane and Northern Colorado. That I'd qualify that as two League One after dark matches, and we'll call it a week, right? So Friday to Tuesday, we'll call that a week.
Yeah.
I love it.
And here's the interesting thing as you look at all of these matchups, Central Valley and Omaha, neighbors in the standings. Now, Central Valley can't win the group, but they're still in the running for the wild card because they're only 2 goals behind Union Omaha at this point.
Yep.
And then you look at Charlotte and Greenville. Not only do they play in round 7, they play in round 8. So they play back to back.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the top 2 teams in the East. So they're neighbors in the standings. You look at Lexington and One Knox, they're second and third, tied at 11 points in the Central. Then you look at Richmond Tormenta, they're neighbors in this. I mean, you look at each one of these matches, and they are neighbors in their groups. The only one that's not is Northern Colorado and Spokane on Tuesday night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of good matches for this weekend. This is a good. Um, we're sitting in a good spot for the Jägermeister Cup this weekend. There's a lot of matches with some intrigue. Um, there's some matches with less intrigue, but I think overall this is going to be one of the better weeks for the Jägermeister Cup for sure.
Oh, 100% agree. Yeah, this is going to be such a fun weekend. And it's nice that it's starting off tomorrow night. I mean, that's going to be a fun one to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Fuego and Union Omaha. I mean, things get heated between those 2 clubs, and it's a close one every time too.
Yeah, and I mean it's after dark. You know, anything could happen. Especially with Fuego's latest performance against Chattanooga, they were playing very, very tough football and very smart football. So, um, definitely one to watch out for there. The one that actually piques my interest the most is actually the other League One After Dark match on Tuesday, Spokane and Northern Colorado. Um, Now you have Spokane eliminated from contention, but Spokane is also playing a particular brand of soccer right now that really kind of targets Northern Colorado's weaknesses. They're able to get the ball out quickly and they're able to counterattack very, very quickly. And that's something Northern Colorado has had a little bit of trouble defending lately. So it is definitely something. I don't think Northern Colorado's in any position at this point with what do we have two matches left before group stage is over. So uh, Northern Colorado having scored 18 goals so far and being ahead of their group, they really only need Union Omaha to stumble at some point to win that win that division. So uh, they're in no real danger of missing out on postseason Jägermeister Cup play. So that'll also be interesting to see how much or how many of the starters are out to play for that match against Spokane.
And the thing that surprised me with Spokane, you already have a Northern Colorado team who is undefeated in the Jaeger Cup. They're hot. I mean, we're not worried about Northern Colorado at this point. Entering this week, we may have expressed some concerns about Spokane, but after the last 2 matches in week 16 of the regular season, I think there's something going on there in Spokane. I mean, back to back wins on the road with a depleted bench.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's a team that's showing their mettle. I mean, they're pushing through.
Yeah,
Um,
prime to make a
and
run.
with those 2 wins, where are they currently at? They're at what? Uh, Yeah, they're at seventh now in the regular season standings, tied with Northern Colorado at 18 points.
Mm-hmm. Puts them in playoff position.
Yeah. They should actually be in sixth, shouldn't they?
See, I forget because the USL decided to do tiebreakers and all that stuff differently than everybody else in the entire world does them. So I don't remember what the first tiebreaker is off the top of my head.
Total wins in the league, and they both have 5.
Yep.
Oh, and then it's goal difference. Oh, I thought it was goal scored. Goal difference, and that's where the separation is.
Yeah, it's a 4
Because
goal split between the two.
yeah,
Northern
okay,
Colorado sitting with 2, Spokane sitting with -2.
that makes perfect sense. Okay, I thought it was goals scored, which would have gone in Spokane's favor.
Mm-hmm.
Whoops.
It's tough. Even us podcasters still learn things, guys.
There
We
you
get
go.
things mixed up all the time as well. I
We
mean,
got
we've got.
yeah. Go ahead, man.
I was just gonna move us along to we have round 7 this weekend, but not too far in the distant future, we also have the final group play round of the Jägermeister Cup. And that starts on Thursday, August 29th. You have Richmond versus Spokane, Madison versus Omaha. Thursday night, Friday the 30th, Greenville versus Charlotte, Central Valley Fuego versus NoCo. Saturday the 31st, Lexington and Chattanooga, and Sunday, Tormenta versus Knoxville. So, 2 rounds away. We now know where each team is kind of sitting. We now know the full schedule. There's some tasty matchups for this round 8 as well. Only one League One After Dark match on that one, but
Yep.
that's okay because there's 4 solid days of Jägermeister Cup action.
Oh, this is one of those times where I'm not going to complain about the scheduling.
No, I mean I get an extended weekend full of soccer. I'll take it.
Yeah, and they're good matchups too. I mean,
All great
Madison,
ones.
Omaha.
Yeah,
Oh,
a derby match to end the season or to end the
Greenville, Charlotte,
competition. Perfect.
top of the group there. You
Mm-hmm.
get the Ice and Fire Cup again. I mean, yeah. I mean, this round we even get the Battle of the Barrel.
Love it.
Yeah. So we have some fun storylines and fun matchups in both of these rounds. But now that we have all of this laid out, we can look at each club's path to the end of the group stage. So looking at their paths, who do you think has the easiest and who do you think has the toughest path?
So we'll let's break this down by division here. So we have in the East Division, Greenville. Their remaining matches are at Charlotte and at home versus Charlotte. Charlotte, obviously, at home versus Greenville at Greenville. Richmond plays Tormenta at home and Spokane at home. So Richmond has the last 2 of the Jägermeister Cup at home. That could be a huge advantage. Tormenta is at Richmond and then at home versus Knoxville. I mean, I think the hardest path in this one, I mean, it's really got to be a toss up between Greenville and Charlotte. I mean,
Yeah.
they play each other both times. They're the top 2 in the division. So, yeah, whoever wins those should theoretically come out on top.
But I'm going to give the edge when it comes to the toughest. I'm going to give the edge to Charlotte because right now in this next match, round 7, they're at home versus
Mm-hmm.
Greenville. So if they win that match, that suddenly puts them at 11 points, 1 point behind Greenville.
Mm-hmm.
But then they have to do it again, this time on the road.
They've got to win both.
Yeah.
A draw and a win in the penalty will not help them at all, because if
'Cause if
Greenville
I'm
gets one more point, it's over.
yeah, because if I'm Greenville, yeah, it's a tough one to try to win on the road at Charlotte. But then at the same time, I'm feeling a whole lot more confident, even if I drop this match on Saturday, because I know that they're coming to the home field.
Yep.
So there's a bit of confidence there. So I think Charlotte has the toughest path there.
I'd buy that. I'd buy that for $1. And I mean, as far as easiest path in this one, oof, there's not really an easiest path in this one, because you've got in this group, Tormenta's already mathematically eliminated from being able to win the group. They're sitting on 7 goals. That's going to be a tough test in 2 matches to catch up to even Union Omaha sitting on 12 goals right now.
Yeah.
I mean, that seems like a little too much. And then Richmond's even worse off in the goals for category, and I think they would have to still. I don't think this is updated. I think Richmond is also mathematically eliminated at this point.
They would have to win both of their matches, and they would need Charlotte to win one. They would need Charlotte to win and win by PKs. So the most that Greenville can get out of the next 2 matches is 1 point to keep Richmond alive. If they get to, and here's an interesting scenario that Rob over at Talking Flock threw out in the group chat.
Mm-hmm.
There's an entire scenario here where the top 3 teams in the East finish with 13 points. Because if Richmond wins both of their remaining matches, that's 6 points, gets them to 13. Charlotte, if they win in regulation against Greenville, and then they win the next match in PKs, that gives them 5 points. They go to 13 points. Greenville, they drop 1, but then they also get 1 point, even despite losing PKs. That puts them at 13 points.
It does, yeah.
So we know the tiebreakers to determine
That would
the
be
wild card.
Yeah, and then the one after that is head-to-head points earned in small group play. So Tim coming in and saying if Charlotte win and penalty kicks win, get them in. Head-to-head points versus Greenville would be 5-1.
Ooh,
So it could get spicy.
yeah.
It could get real spicy. That's a tough one. I don't think there's no easy route in this group.
The only reason I would give it to Richmond is because they play both matches at home.
That's
the
fair.
only reason.
Yeah.
But even then,
That's a tall task, man.
Exactly. Both clubs that they're facing. I mean, Tormenta, that's going to be a battle. Spokane, they're hot. That's going to be a battle. I mean, yeah. The only reason I'm saying is because they're playing both at home.
That's fair. Also very fair. Moving on to the central group. So the 2 remaining for Madison are at home versus Chattanooga and at home versus Union Omaha. So there's another home and home tie there. Lexington this week is at home versus Knoxville, and then at home again versus Chattanooga. So another home and home. Knoxville has to go to Lexington and to Tormenta. Chattanooga has to go to Madison and to Lexington. So we got 2 home homes and 2 away aways.
Yeah. Chat going to Madison, who's undefeated in the Jaeger Cup. They're undefeated. Yeah. And then going to Lexington.
Madison has 2 losses in the Jaeger Cup.
Oh, do they?
Yep.
Oh, that's my bad. But going to Lexington, this is not the Lexington of the regular season. This is the Lexington of the Jaeger. And
Second place in the West, yeah.
exactly.
Lexington.
Sounds weird to say, but they're two distinctly different teams that we're talking about here.
Very much, yeah. And a Lexington that looks like they may be catching a little bit of the lightning in the bottle. But here I go again talking about Lexington like I was last season. Consistency, consistency, consistency. I mean, I think both of the teams that have home and homes are in a far better position than the two that have aways. I mean, it is really hard to win in this league away from home, and it's really hard to do it back to back. I really don't think there's. This is a tough group to even say anybody has an easy schedule, even being the home and homes, because you've got Madison sitting Chattanooga at home, who we know play very, very rough with everybody. It's a style that they play, and then you just have to deal with it. And then they have a derby match against Omaha. Looking inversely as well, you have Lexington with a derby match in this first one versus Knoxville, and then playing that very same tough Chattanooga team. It's not as hard as going on the road, but both of the teams that these guys are playing are not slouches. So it'll be an interesting thing to see who prioritizes what match and when. Gosh, you got to think both Madison and Lexington are going to be circling the derby matches as must wins.
Oh yeah. So I'm going to say something. Don't get mad at me. It's going to be a little spicy, but in
Love
this
spicy.
group, if I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking Madison has the easiest path to the end of the group. And that's no disrespect to Chattanooga or Union Omaha, but recent results between Madison and Chattanooga and between Madison and Union Omaha favor Madison.
They do.
So having both of them come to Breese Stevens Field, which I should make the distinction. Yes, they've lost twice in the Jägermeister Cup, but they are undefeated at home, winning both of their matches in regulation time.
Mm-hmm.
So having both of these teams come to Madison makes a difference.
Definitely does.
So I know I'm probably going to make a bunch of people mad by saying that, but I'm just going off of Madison's momentum, recent performances, history with these clubs.
That's fair. I mean, people can get mad, but you really can't argue with statistics, man. I mean, it is what it is.
And for the toughest, I would go Chattanooga. To Madison, that's tough. Mm-hmm. Then going to Lexington, who's hot in this cup.
Yeah, you're playing the top two in your division. I mean, yeah, that's away and away. I mean, that's nothing you can do about that. I mean, that's a tough ass schedule. I don't think anybody can argue with you on that one at all. Well, then we move out west. Northern Colorado's remaining schedule, an away and away schedule. At Spokane and at Central Valley. Omaha is at Central Valley and at Forward Madison. Central Valley is at home against Omaha and then at home versus Northern Colorado. Spokane is at home versus Northern Colorado and then at Richmond. This is an interesting one.
Yes.
There are only two teams that can win this division. More than likely, though, Northern Colorado has all but won it at this point. And that's no disrespect to Spokane or Central Valley. But if you look at it, they need one result, one. Man, do they even only need a win at this point? They're 5 points ahead of Omaha. So they need a win or a draw and a win in penalties to tie it. And then the head-to-head points earned, I'd have to look back and see how Omaha did.
Even if they lost in PKs to both of those opponents, they'd still go through.
Yeah, 1 point does it for Northern Colorado. So Northern Colorado gets a draw in either of these matches. They win the group, and they are automatically in. The interesting thing about that is the second place team, Union Omaha, is also the first place over the fourth place wild card determination, and by a decently healthy margin. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that Greenville wins their group. They are the third place team with 9 goals at this point. So then it would drop down to 8 goals for the wild card. And they would have to catch Union Omaha's 12 goals. So 4 goals in 2 matches, and you have to hope Union Omaha does not score any goals for that to happen. I really do think that, at least in this group, you kind of know who's going to be coming out of it. I think both Omaha and Northern Colorado are pretty easily in at this point. I think Northern Colorado will probably end up taking care of business. Between these two teams that they have, I think they're more than capable of at least drawing both of these teams.
Yeah.
If not outright winning it. And Omaha's just built a big goal lead that it would be hard to lose at this point. That being said, Union Omaha's goal differential in this tournament is atrocious at 2 goals for goal differential. But not everybody can be Northern Colorado sitting there on a 9 goal differential with 18 goals scored. So,
yeah,
Northern Colorado, this is their tournament this season.
Yeah, in this group, I think the easiest path would be Northern Colorado. As we just said, if they draw both of those matches, lose in PKs, they're still through.
They need a single point, and I'm sure if Omaha drops a point, I think if Omaha drops a point, or if Union Omaha loses one of these 2 matches, which with Madison on the schedule is a very real possibility, especially going to Bree Stevens and even going at Central Valley tomorrow night. Yeah. It's going to be tough for them to not drop any points here. So I definitely know there's going to be quite a few people in Colorado watching the match tomorrow night and just waiting for them to see if the first teamers are going to be able to take a weekend off this week.
Do you think that tomorrow's match against Fuego, there's more pressure on tomorrow's match against Fuego for Union Omaha than there is heading into Madison?
I feel like both Union Omaha and Northern Colorado at this point have already, like I said before, pretty much wrapped up that they're most likely going to both be in the 4 finalist spots. Of course, you want to win and continue building. Obviously, Northern Colorado has been fantastic in this entire tournament, so they want to continue to build on that. And Union Omaha is kind of reeling a little bit with their luck as of late, so I'm sure they want to get back on track. So I think the pressure really it's there, but I don't think it's as big of a deal right now for either of those teams. But if I had to give you one that I think the pressure is more on, it's definitely on Union Omaha. If you want to guarantee your spot, and I say that loosely, guarantee your spot, because all intents and purposes they're probably in. But if you want to guarantee your spot and win your group, you have to win out. So,
yeah, the reason I was asking that question is because both of these, so for Union Omaha, these are both teams where the final score line seems to always be within one goal of each other. I think
Mhm.
with Madison, there's only been one occasion where one of the sides won by 2 goals or more, and that was Madison earlier this season. When it comes to Fuego, the last 3 meetings with Fuego, last 4 meetings with Fuego were decided by a goal differential of 1.
Mhm.
So heading into Fuego, knowing that there are teams that are within striking distance to tie you on goals scored, knowing that you have a lesser chance of building up a goal differential in Madison, if you felt there was more pressure heading into Fuego to recreate something that happened in the past by winning by 2 back in last season, winning by 3 in 22,
Mhm.
to really build up that goal differential and go into Madison with a little bit of a sense of comfort.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a little bit more pressure. Obviously on Union Omaha, I mean, it's still viable. I mean, it could happen. They could drop points and then not score any goals and still lose out. So there's definitely stuff to play for there. Omaha tends to pretty heavily rotate their squad or play with some different types of formations in this cup competition. I think that'll probably continue. I think most coaches are not going to change up their system in group play. I think Coach Dom trusts his guys enough that he puts out on the field for these matches to continue to go with them and just kind of see what happens. Because at the end of the day, yes, this is an in-season competition, and I'm sure every team wants to win this competition. But at the same time, grand scheme of things, would you rather do well in the regular season or the Jägermeister Cup? Most teams are going to say regular season. So
History books, or do you want to fatten up your wallet a little bit?
that is it's a very big thing for sure. Um, Definitely to some teams more than others at this point. Um, but yeah, I think honestly the prestige of winning the league still supersedes the prestige of winning the Jägermeister Cup at this point. And that very well could change in the future. Who knows? You know, next season, I think this is going to be a very different tournament than it is this season. Maybe it carries a lot more weight next season than it does this season, which would be great. But yeah, it'd be cool to get your name in the history book as the first Jägermeister Cup winner. But I think most teams will just play it like they do everything else. I mean, this competition has been good for a lot of things, but specifically, I think a lot of these teams have, even though they've heavily rotated a lot of their squads, they still take it serious enough that it still feels like regular season play watching these matches. It doesn't seem like there's a big drop off in talent or physicality of play or anything like that. So that's been really nice to see, and I expect that to continue for sure, going especially into the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I agree. So I think we both agree that Northern Colorado and Union Omaha are going to be the ones getting or escaping the group stage out of the West.
More than likely, yeah.
Okay. So looking at the Central group, 3 teams within 1 point.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you leaning toward there?
Uh, uh, this one, I mean, uh, I'm gonna go with the team that I know a couple weeks back or 2 match days ago they did lose, but if you look at the rest of going all the way back to May 11th, Forward Madison is 4-1 in this competition. I expect them to continue that run of form and make it out of that Central group.
Yeah, I agree. Yep, Ford Madison's my pick for that one too. How about the East group?
Oh, this one. This one is crazy difficult to try to suss out. If you're going strictly on run of form, it looks like Greenville has it. I mean, they're 3-1-1 um, at this point in their last 5. So, and you look at Charlotte, they are 1-3-1. So, I mean, they are getting draws, but Charlotte also has lost the last 3 draws that they've had in the penalty kick shootout. So, um, that's a little uncomfortable if you're a Charlotte fan. So I'm going to go with the team that is more consistent and has won the most games in this group, and I'm going to say Greenville makes it out of the East in this one.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a tough lead to try to overtake for Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
And even though they're undefeated in the last 4 matches in the Jägermeister Cup, like you said, they're still dropping those vital points in the penalty shootout.
Yep.
And um,
Yeah, that's 3 extra points they could have had. They could
yeah,
have been sitting on 11 right underneath Greenville at this point. So,
yeah. So this is not really a time to be dropping any points at any given moment. Um, so I think Greenville has the confidence. They have the schedule to be able to make it happen. So yeah, I think
mm-hmm.
Greenville escapes the East.
Yep.
And then I have no idea how they're gonna do the seeding for the knockout stage. If they're gonna take like the overall point winner to be the 1 seed and then have them go up against the 4 seed. But if you do that, Northern Colorado would be at this point the points winner. But then they would go up against Union Omaha, who would be the 4 seed as the wild card. So you can't really.
Yeah.
That seems unfair to have them play again.
Yeah, I'm looking at the website here, and I don't see anything unless I'm missing it at this point. Let's see if the main page has anything for the. Oh, don't want to throw some dead air out here, but here we go.
I'll just speculate while you're doing that. If if they make that rule that the points leader cannot play against the wild card club if they come out of the same group, that would mean that either Greenville or Madison would play, but they're tied on points right now.
Mm-hmm.
Goals scored would go toward Greenville because they have 9 versus Madison's 5. So at that point, it would be, oh my gosh, it would be Greenville versus Union Omaha and Northern Colorado versus Ford Madison.
Ooh, 2 really good ones. Yeah, on the
Two.
website they do not show how they're gonna end up breaking this down. At least that I can see. So, um, it's just speculation at this point. My theory on this is that they're gonna have geographic ties. I think it's probably still going to be a midweek match. So you're going to see probably Northern Colorado play Union Omaha. If it shakes out the way we think it is, Northern Colorado will play Union Omaha and Madison will play Greenville. That's just pure speculation. I don't have an inside thought,
Yeah.
but I mean if we look at the USL, we know travel is a big deal for a lot of these teams. I'm sure a lot of these teams are not super excited about opening up their stadiums midweek. Well, I guess Union Omaha's really been the only one that's had that issue. So a lot of these teams are not excited about opening up and potentially seeing less attendance. So I think they're probably gonna do geographic if I had to guess.
Yeah, I completely understand that. It's easier on the wallet. And at the same time, if we went by the scenario I just laid out with a different team taking over and playing Omaha in the first round, where
Yep.
in this case it would be Greenville,
Yep.
you would have Union Omaha going to Greenville, and then you would have Madison going to Northern Colorado, which wouldn't be a terrible bit of travel for Ford Madison.
Mm-hmm. It'd be about
But
the
it
same as going to a Greenville.
True.
There's a whole lot. I don't know how they're going to expect to play it out. I would personally, I would like to see in the first round, if it shakes out the way we think it's going to, Omaha is going to have two rivals in the same competition in the knockout stages. So I would like to see Omaha play somebody that's not in their own group, and that's not just because it's a red hot Jägermeister Northern Colorado team, but because I would like to see another rivalry match happen in postseason play. I think that would be really good for the optics of the league. You could sell it as a big derby day kind of stuff. And also, I mean, I honestly really want to see Madison and Northern Colorado play, because those are two damn good teams.
Yeah.
And somebody's got to get knocked out, because we're going to see it eventually, probably. If Northern Colorado and Madison don't meet in the opening semifinal round, more than likely they will see each other in the final, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
It's sure looking that way. Man. Well, it's hard to even try to pick out a winner, because we don't even know what the bracket's going to look like.
no. I mean, if I had to pick a favorite at this point, I'd be hard pressed to go against Northern Colorado in this tournament.
Yeah. I don't know, man. The thing that, and we're gonna touch on this here in just a little bit. The East group has just been battering each other. It's been intense there. I so you threw your hat over toward Northern Colorado. I would actually lean more toward Ford Madison.
That's fair. I can't argue with that. It's just a gut feeling for me that NoCo's the better side in this tournament.
Yeah.
Plus, I mean, if we're looking at, the standings, I think Forward Madison has pretty well cemented themselves as a likely candidate for the regular season playoffs. Northern Colorado is still kind of on that verge. I mean, they're sitting on 18, and Tormenta's sitting in 9th place on 16, so also super close in the league here. But obviously, like you said earlier, big payday is also a big part of this. So I expect teams to really want to go in and get that payday too. So
Yeah.
money's a huge incentivizer. It's the only reason I work, honestly. So
We got some good information coming from Tim over at Ranting Blue Penguin in the live chat. Yep, he told us that he believes that Charlotte would go through based on head-to-head points among the three teams. Also believes that Madison would be a virtual lock by the time that they would play Omaha.
Yep.
And yeah, he agrees with you. He doesn't expect that they would care about Union Omaha and Northern Colorado playing again. Yeah, I get it.
I don't think they would, but to me, it does seem a little bit weird if you have the two teams that have played each other already so many times in the group play each other again. It seems a little weird to me, but then again, not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
We've got
And if we can't have a Henny Derby for the final, why not a belt battle? Yeah,
right.
That's a good one. That's a good point. Ooh, Enrique coming in here with some trash talk, saying Spokane's going to take down Northern Colorado. He's just looking out for you, though. He thinks it's going to help you in Omaha.
If it helps Omaha, yeah. I mean, take him down anyway, just because I want to see a good match there, too. But, yeah, I appreciate it, and it's good to see you, Enrique. Luke Martin saying, it's weird it wasn't clarified at the beginning how seating would work. Yeah, I think they probably should have done that, too, but that's fine. Maybe building up a little bit of giving us something to talk about. How about that? Maybe that's what they did. Maybe the league office is looking out for us. Tim saying, or no seating, just a draw. I like that actually. Let's get the U.S. Open Cup style draw, but not envelopes. Let's do it the correct way. It's four. Like you can put four balls in a tiny bowl or a hat or something and take them out. Um, yeah. Looks saying either way it should have been announced before the tournament begins. I agree. And Tim saying, sorry, we only get translucency. If you want transparency, we'll have to find a window store. Yeah. 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 Unfortunately.
Well, I did come up with a few fun questions that could certainly spur on some good discussions here. I want to throw them at you because
Okay.
you haven't seen any of these questions.
I have not.
So, with all the discussions that we've already, like all the topics we've already talked about with the Jägermeister Cup,
Mhm.
I wrote down a series of questions, and I want you to talk about which one surprises you more. Now, the
Okay.
first comparison is what surprises you more, how close the central group is,
Mm-hmm.
or that the wild card will likely come out of the West.
Um, what surprises me more is that the wild card is probably going to come out of the West. I think when you look top to bottom at the beginning of the season, when I looked top to bottom at these groups, I would have figured the West probably would have been pretty close, and pretty close to the East. I thought both of those were going to be super close. Um, but yeah, getting two teams out of the West into the knockout rounds is would be more surprising to me than even seeing three teams with a shot at winning the Central Group.
Yeah, because I think before the Jägermeister Cup started, I don't know if you had the same pick as me, but I think I picked two clubs to come out of the Central Group.
I don't remember. I feel like looking at it now, I would have picked the East Group. I think I would have picked Charlotte and Greenville coming out of that group. Um, but I don't remember if anybody can remember that far.
I think I had Ford, Madison, and Lexington coming out because we were still riding the high of all the signings that were coming out of Lexington, and
Fair.
season hadn't started yet and everything.
Mm-hmm. Very fair.
So I think I agree with you on your pick for that question. All right, next one for what surprises you more. That three clubs in the East have not won at home. We're talking about Charlotte, we're talking about Tormenta and Richmond.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it more surprising that zero clubs from the West have lost at home?
I really think it's the win at home. Um, and I say that because most teams are going to prioritize winning home matches over away matches. It's that kind of old head adage, right? Of if you go on the road and get a point, you did your job, because they expect you to take care of business at home. Um, and that's how you, I mean, that's really how you win the league a lot of the time. If you take care of business at home and you draw all your matches away, you're sitting really pretty by the end of the season. So you take care of your stuff at home. I don't know why I censored myself there. I usually don't, but I did. So you take care of your stuff at home, and then on the road, you just sure, of course, you go in and try to win. But if you got a chance late in the match to draw, yeah, you take it. You don't take any chances away from home.
And
So yeah.
before people jump in and start talking about how certain clubs have won at home, I'm talking about in regulation time in 90 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So Charlotte, Tormenta, and Richmond have not won at home. That's pretty surprising.
Yeah, I mean we're 6 match days in at this point. You would have figured by now they would have won one, right? But
Yeah. Wow. That's yeah. All right. So third one. What surprises you more? That Richmond has not scored at home or that Northern Colorado has scored the most overall despite losing their key players from last season?
Oh, oh, those are both really good. I don't think I would have picked either of those. Um, I have to go with Richmond not scoring at home. I think everybody kind of knew Northern Colorado's style. If you could get guys in that could free flow and win their one on ones, that Northern Colorado was going to be fine. Um, but it's really shocking to me that Richmond has not scored at home, especially with um, Emiliano on the roster. I mean, I know he was injured for a lot of this season. It's just now kind of working back into full health, but you would have figured with a guy like him on the roster that they would have scored at home. And I mean, you have a ton of guys on that Richmond Kickers team that can score. So
Chandler O'Dwyer, Adrian Billhart,
yeah,
Neil Vinyals, Dakota Barnathan.
and guys that can score some real crazy stuff. I mean, we saw Neil Vinyals just this past weekend just lay off a quarter beautifully into the on the ground into the bottom right corner of the net. Just pass
Yeah.
the ball right in. I mean, it looked effortless. Um, so with the amount of guys that can make plays like that on the Richmond side, especially at home, because we all know how rockin' City Stadium can get. We compliment City Stadium, I feel like, every week for them showing out and doing their thing out there. I would have figured for sure that the bigger surprise here is Richmond not scoring at home.
Yeah. Um, if you thought City Stadium was packed in previous matches, wait until Saturday night because they're doing it's like a youth centric um promotional night for Saturday night.
Hell yeah.
And
Well,
so you know that all the families are going to be flooding into City Stadium, bringing their kids, and
we're
they're
gonna
going to
have
have all sorts of
teams.
attractions for the kids. It's going to be a great time.
That's good, man. That's another one of my uh, favorite promotions that go on, are inviting all the local teams out, and it's always cool to see all the kids in their own jerseys sitting in the stands. So I know that's a big draw for just speaking from personal experience, seeing it. Union Omaha games that are youth nights draw quite a bit of kids too. So that'll be really cool to see. So definitely going to be rocking, because I know if kids nowadays are anything like my kids, which I assume they are, yeah, they're going to be rowdy. So
All right, here is the last one for which surprises you more.
okay.
Only a third of the clubs have been eliminated from winning their group, or that even though each club has 2 matches remaining, having already played 6 matches, not a single club has clinched their group.
Man, that's a tough one. I really should start reading the outline before we start. Um, I gotta feel like not a single club has clinched their group, because I think no matter what you choose on this question, it's kind of ipso facto the other one happens no matter what. But I would have figured for sure. I mean, I think me and you both thought that the West was probably the weakest group out of all three groups. I would have thought whoever was going to come out of the West would probably have done it by now. And I mean, give us a little bit of credit, because they do have 2 teams that are eliminated from winning it, as opposed to the other 2, which only have 1. So we're kind of close to that point, I guess. But yeah, I mean, oh, yeah, I feel like somebody not clinching yet. You're 6 matches in. You would have figured at least one would have done it. You probably could have thrown a couple names out and could have figured it out, but that's what I'm going to go with. I don't feel super good about it, but I can't make a decision between the two. Put me on the spot, and I just let it ride.
No, I think I agree with you. I think, given the fact that each club gets 8 matches in the group stage,
Mm-hmm.
you would think by now there would be enough space between the clubs that somebody would have clinched by now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've seen World Cups where they only play 3 and there's already a team that's clinched it before going into their third match.
Yeah, but I also think the parity in the World Cup is a little bit wider than the parity of League One, but I understand the sentiment. Yeah,
Yeah.
sentiment, not sediment.
Little Koozie coming in saying Greenville needs 1 point out of the next 2 games with Charlotte.
I would put them on 13, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That would do it. Because then if you take that out, and well, I think Greenville needs 1 and they have to win the penalty shootout, because if Charlotte also draws the first one, wins the penalty shootout, and then wins the next one.
Yeah, the magic number for Greenville is 15. Because if Charlotte wins both matches, they're through.
Mm-hmm.
That puts them, I mean, obviously that puts them at 14
Yep.
points. So the magic number for Greenville is 15. So they need to
They just got to win.
either win in regulation or they need to win in PKs and lose in PKs or some combination of that.
Yeah. You know what? I think we're overthinking this quite a bit. Let's just say they should just win both of their matches. I think every team should go into this with the expectation to win both of their matches. It doesn't matter if you're eliminated, if you're not eliminated.
Actually,
Go in
hold
and
on.
try to
Little
win.
Koozie's got it. They got this one right.
So if Charlotte wins,
Greenville gets 1 more point,
that puts them on 13. But then Charlotte would also have 1 point from the draw. The extra point goes to whoever wins it. So theoretically,
Greenville needs 2 points.
Greenville theoretically needs 2 points.
Because if they go in with 14, say even 1, because if Greenville gets 1, they go up to 13. That means that Charlotte gets 2 points. They go up to 10.
Mm-hmm.
That means they're still in the game for the last match. Whereas if Greenville gets 2 points, there's no way that Charlotte can keep up in the next match.
And Tim said earlier in the chat that he's relatively sure if all 3 ended on 13. I mean, he was speaking specifically about Richmond, Charlotte, and Greenville. Charlotte is in over the other 2 based on the head-to-head points among the 3 teams.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of math that I'm not going to do on the fly, because as loyal listeners to the podcast know, Brian cannot do math. So that's why I'm an electrician, A, and B, I have an app that tells me everything I need to know when I'm doing calculations.
Yeah.
Little Koozie saying they made this way too complicated. This is what we live for, though.
This is what we do.
This is like a podcaster's wet dream, man, where we could just get here and we just get to sit here and like break down all of the possible scenarios, no matter how ridiculously dumb they sound.
My whole wall just has red yarn all over the place.
Just Pepe Sylvia. I'm glad that you got that reference. Anybody else in the audience that caught that reference? I don't know. I need to figure out a prize to give you. So.
We missed you too, Enrique. Ooh. Lil Koozie asking you a question.
Jurgen Klopp can still come to coach the men's national team. That was a really big pipe dream for a lot of people, including myself, and I'm sure Tim as well. But yeah, he was asked directly if he would come back to coaching, and his answer was, I retired like for a reason. I am done with coaching for at least a little while. And if I remember that interview right, he said he is done with coaching. Like, he wanted to retire. He's done what he can do. He feels like he's been with the best clubs that he could possibly coach for. So he is very firmly done with coaching. So
Yeah, that's
unfortunately,
right.
I would love to see him as the manager for the men's national team, but um, I mean, the guy's done pretty much everything you could do as a coach at this point.
Yeah.
Won the Premier League, won the Bundesliga, won the Champions League. Like, what more do you want? So good on him, Jurgen.
Yep.
Appreciate you. And in case you're listening, you're not, but if you are, definitely send me a DM and I will show you a picture of my father who looks exactly like he could be your twin. We go up to Beerhen and everybody up there wants to come over and talk to my dad because he looks exactly like you. So,
And Brian's not exaggerating. First time I met Brian's dad, I saw it right away. I mean, it's spitting image. It really is. It's crazy. How do you feel about Pochettino being linked to the men's national team?
hmm. There are other teams. I mean, other managers that I'd probably prefer over him, but it's definitely not a bad choice. I mean, the guy did well with Tottenham in particular. That's where I know him specifically from, and I mean, went to a Champions League final too. So obviously, not a bad coach. So, and let's be honest, at this point, Rich, I would take you over Greg Berhalter as men's national team coach. So,
Thank you. Just fax over that contract. I'll sign it right away.
yeah, I'll be sure to get to my contacts with U.S. Soccer, and I'll get right to that. That's definitely not a who you know, not what you know.
Lil Kuzi coming in saying, "What do you all think about the Beyond the 90 articles on League One expansion?" I believe they are referencing Alex over at League One Updater writing about the expansion. I haven't.
I very well could be. I'm going to be 100% transparent. I have been lacking very, very heavily on my reading of everybody's articles recently. Um, I used to do it religiously. Every single time everybody would put anything out, I would read it. Unfortunately, I've not been able to do that, but I promise to every one of my fellow content creators that I will continue. I will get back on that train and start doing that again as soon as possible.
Yeah, this is an article written by Alex over at League One Updater just a couple days ago, August 6th,
Okay.
um, breaking down the teams that are slated to join League One in 25. And
Ooh, Lil Kuzi coming in saying the kind of the synopsis is 20 teams for 2025. Whoa.
yeah, I don't think we're
Whoa.
going to hit 20.
I doubt we do. What are we sitting at now? 12.
12, yeah.
Oh, add another 8 teams in a year. Even Lil Kuzi saying maybe 18. I think honestly, even 18 is a stretch for me personally. I think the league will probably see closer to 15, 16. And that's just going from off the top of my head memory. Obviously, I said before I haven't read the article yet. But just going off the top of my head from the teams we know are confirmed for 25, I think that puts us at 15, 16 maybe. I don't fully expect anybody to get into the league that quickly. Because, I mean, we're halfway through the regular season for League One in 24. I mean, half a year to get a team together is that's a tall task. There are definitely ownership groups that I could see doing it, but it's a tall task for sure.
And here's something else to consider when you're talking about all these expansion things. We talk about all the teams that are joining League One,
Mm-hmm.
but there's not exactly a whole lot of discussions about the rumors of that we've been hearing about clubs that are possibly leaving League One. Um, so that could open up more room for more clubs to join League One. Um, so even though Lil Kuzi's coming in here saying possibly 20 for 2025 season,
Yep.
if you look at possible clubs who may be leaving League One, you're still opening up the door for a lot of teams to be joining
Mm-hmm.
uh, in their stead. So no matter what, we're going to have a net gain on teams in
Yeah.
2025. We're going to have a bigger league.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, there's going to have to be some discussion about splitting the league into an East and a West.
Yep.
Because, like you mentioned earlier, highly regionalized play is cheaper for the clubs, allows them to continue to grow and prosper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, there's smoke around some teams, and there's fire around. I know in particular one team, and it's common knowledge. It's been put out there. I've put it out there before, but Union Omaha is gone in 26. They will be in championship in 26. Um, it's already been confirmed at the town hall with the ownership and the front office members. So Omaha's definitely gone in 26. There's other teams where there's smoke, but no confirmation quite yet. So you're looking at, theoretically right now, you're looking by 26, 3 teams that are in the league now that are probably gone. The other rumored to leave teams, there's a lot of smoke around Lexington going out, and
We've heard the rumors around Chattanooga.
we've heard the rumors around Chattanooga. We've also heard Charlotte is a big possibility for going back up as well. So
Yeah.
there are quite a few teams that are rumored to be going up. Yeah, and the only one I know for sure is going up because it was confirmed and there was talks about the contract and it's been put out there. But Union Omaha has a contract option to go up when they built a stadium, so they are exercising that part of their contract. So they are a for sure at this, as far as I'm aware, a for sure in to championship, even if they close off championship because of the rapid expansion of teams.
Yeah.
Enrique saying Omaha will be his team in the champions. I like it. The championship, taking Omaha.
Yeah, there you go.
Appreciate that, Enrique. When Omaha goes up, I'm gonna have to choose a team in then League One. There's definitely 2 teams. I couldn't tell you what 2 teams are going for my top spot. I'm not saying my loyalty can be bought, but my loyalty can definitely be bought. No, I'm just gonna be a fan of the league at that point.
You just remember which one of those scarves came first.
I will. I will remember that. Again, I mean that's so far in the future that we don't really have to worry about it quite yet. But
And even when we discuss some of the teams that could potentially be joining League One, just as you said with the rumors of teams leaving League One, there's smoke and there's other teams where there's clearly fire.
mhm,
It's the same thing for expansion teams that could be joining League One. There are some teams that have a very solid foundation who have a clear intention of joining League One. There are
mhm.
other teams who it seems to be like there's a lot more hype, but not a whole lot of substance to really back it up.
Yep.
So there's a whole lot more updates to come and things to keep an eye out for on that case.
That's definitely, that'll definitely be big in our off-season talks this year. Because let's face it, off-season talks, are very difficult for us to try to fill. So when we don't get interviews and it's me and Rich just spitballing, it's definitely fun, but it is a struggle to come up with topics every single week.
Yep.
But that being said, I mean, we do have the rest of this season to go, and we do have some listener questions that were sent in earlier. So let's go ahead and get back on this week's track here. We got a couple of questions here from Luke Martin. His first question, I'm going to throw it at you, Rich, because you usually throw the questions at me. But what do you expect from teams out of contention to win their group in the Jägermeister Cup?
I feel like if you are already eliminated from winning your group and you have a slim chance of winning the wild card, your entire focus should just be on preparing for the rest of the regular season. Put aside the Jaeger Cup, completely disregard it. Take that American approach where it's just like, oh, well, this one doesn't really matter, but we're still going to like go through the motions. But come at it with a different mentality where you still have some of these teams in regular season still have um, 10 matches left in the season.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 10 opportunities ahead of you to continue to build the chemistry, to build those relationships, and find that success. And that may mean rotating some personnel. It may mean using a different formation, using different tactics. Um, and so there's going to be a whole lot of experimentation. At this point, you have 2 matches to do that for free that don't mean anything toward your chances toward the playoffs when it comes to the regular season. For these 2 matches, experiment. Try to find something that's going to bring you more success when you return to regular season play.
Yeah.
Success when you return to regular season play. How about you?
I I mean, I really
How
could
about you?
not put it any better.
I mean, I
That-
really could not put it any better.
Why is my okay? That was my bad. I was playing through my speaker because I moused up there. Um, I have nothing to add to that. I mean, I think it's exactly that. The only thing I would add for that is play the kids, man. There's a lot of these teams have academy rosters. Um, you're allowed to bring extra players from your academy side up, and it does not count against your bench rotation players. So might as well. I mean, if you've got nothing to lose at this point, play the kids. Like you said, Rich, play a weird ass formation. I mean, if you want to throw 5 strikers out there and just kind of see what happens, throw 5 strikers out there and see what happens.
Yeah.
Maybe you find something that nobody can contend with in the league, and then you get a team sitting down at the bottom of the standings, let's say Lexington or Central Valley, because Lord knows both of those teams have enough strikers or enough attacking players that can play up top. You throw those guys in, nobody can contend with you. Maybe you make a big run at the end of the season. I'm not saying that's probably going to happen, but this is the time for experimentation and for really gut checking your players. Because let's be honest, if you're out of contention for something, you are really going to find out who plays with passion and just for the love of the sport and who's there for a paycheck. I'm not saying any players are just here for a paycheck, but this is the time where if there is any, you will suss them out. So throw guys out there. If you have questions about a guy's commitment to the team or a guy's commitment to his craft, feed him to the sharks and see how he swims. It's just how you got to do it. This is the time to do it. Like you said, 2 free matches, might as well.
And I like the fact that you bring up the playoff race, because even if you look at the regular season standings, the degree of separation from the wooden spoon winner to the last team in the playoffs is only 6 points.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's so much that could change in those weeks that we have remaining in the season. And so this is the time to prepare for that. The the bottom 6, the bottom 8 that we see right here is going to look nothing like this at the end of the season. With these teams as close as they are,
Mm-hmm.
no, it's not gonna be the same at the end of the season.
No, there's definitely some shakeups that are going to happen.
Yeah.
We saw shakeups at the top this week. We're going to see shakeups all down at the bottom and around that playoff spot. It's going to be tight, and I mean, we said it on the last show. The league must have really known what they were doing, expanding it to 8 teams, because it looks like it's going to be fireworks for the whole rest of the season.
Yeah. Man, we're at 84 minutes.
Mm-hmm. That was a
We're
quick
like
one.
right in there.
I like it.
Boom. That's cool.
Man, maybe we're figuring out this whole podcasting thing 3 years into it.
I think we might. Jeez.
I throw it out there. Anybody who hasn't listened since the beginning, the first season when Rich and I did this, go back and look on the feed.
Oh man.
2 hour and 58-minute episodes. Like,
Yeah.
if we got it under 3 hours, we were on top of it, dude. Like, and then you notice we go a little bit like, we definitely radio talk showed it, where you only get like a specific time slot. You have to fit in all your stuff in that amount of time. We're really kind of dialed it in at this point. But yeah, those first shows, I mean, it was a lot of fun to do. But at the same time, I'm like, dude, how did we sit and talk about like 6 matches for 3 hours?
But at the same time, it was so awesome. During those times when we were recording those shows, and we would go back and listen to the other podcasts from around the league, and they fit everything they wanted to talk about in an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm dumbfounded that they were able to do that.
Yeah, like, make no mistake about it, we are still a fairly long podcast by podcast standards. Like, even going an hour and a half, hour 40 like we do, like, that is going against every single piece of advice anybody who has a podcast tells you to do. There's like a very like select few people that can have long form podcasts and be successful. But I don't care, man. I do this for fun, and I do this. We do this for you guys, because we like hanging out with you guys in the live chat and then hearing everybody's feedback later on too. So, I mean, if your feedback is you guys take too long to make points, we'll take it into consideration. But I have to talk, me personally, I have to talk through my points before I can actually suss out my final point that I'm going for.
Yeah.
Where's that
And
quote?
I'm guilty of, when making these outlines, I'm going through here. Oh, that's a good question. Oh, I should ask that. Oh, I wonder what Brian thinks about this question. Do I really want to bring this up, or should we? Yeah, let's go ahead and bring it up. Like, I just spitball and throw everything on the outline,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how we're able to fill this up.
Yeah. And I know I've mentioned it before, but I mean, anybody that maybe knew or may have forgot, Rich does knock out these outlines and make especially me sound actually somewhat professional. Where a lot of the time I'm like looking at the notes and I'm like, okay, yeah, and then I'll go off. That's why you'll hear me go on tangents, kind of like what I'm doing now. I'm just talking at this point. I don't really have an end point that I'm talking to. I'm just talking at this point. So, and I forget what show or movie it was. Maybe somebody else knows.
Sometimes I start a sentence.
That's
and I don't know
what
where
it is.
I'm going.
Yes. It's exactly what it is. You guys have no idea how much I do this on the show. Or maybe you do know this and you're just like, yeah, everybody is quite aware that you don't know what you're talking about a lot of the time. But I feel like I hide it somewhat well.
All right. Well, that is it for us. So if everybody has, or if anybody has a final question they want to throw into the show here, we can answer those really quick. Otherwise, we can cut it off for the evening, for the week.
Yeah, we'll give them a couple minutes.
Yeah. Lil Kuzi did throw in one last mention here about the expansions: Alta FC, Naples, Portland, Texoma, Sky FC, Westchester, Eugene, Corpus Christi. All have said the goal is 2025, according to the article.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
definitely
Alex.
teams in that are a lot closer than others.
Yeah, if anybody has their finger on the pulse of like what's happening behind the scenes, it's Alex over at League One Updater.
Mm-hmm.
He does an incredible job of writing these articles about asking around, um, about sort of that insider information. He does such a great job over there. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
fantastic stuff coming from Alex.
Yeah, we haven't talked to
We also have
Alex in a while. We
good
need to get
stuff.
back on that.
We also have a lot of good stuff coming from Tim over at Ranting Blue Penguin. We have stuff from Rob up at Talking Flock. Plenty of good discussion points happening over at Walking 90. Tyler over at Lexington, or um, Crane Kicks Lex.
Mhm.
John over at Bluegrass Soccercast. I mean, there are so many podcasts in League One that give such good information. Go out there, support them all. Fuego has one. They
Yeah,
have fantastic people over there. Um, Triumph has a podcast now too.
yeah,
So, and
yep.
and Brandon does such a fantastic. We've been impressed with Brandon like from day one. We're just
See,
in love with everybody. How about that?
yeah, all of our podcast friends we are big fans of, and I I do my best to listen every single week to everybody. So keep up the good work, guys. I mean, it's all love through here. That's the thing too. I'll kind of go with. I see CJ put a question in there. I'll get to that in a second. But the one really cool thing about this kind of content creator scene for League One, there's no like jealousy between the podcasts. There's no like love lost. There's no hate like, oh, they're stomping on this or that, or we're not getting listeners because of X, Y, and Z. Like, no, we are all more than happy to help each other out. We have a big group message that everybody's a part of, and DMs are always open between everybody if we want to bounce ideas off of each other. That stuff don't happen in any other, like there's no MLS podcast groups that are like talking like how we are.
Yeah.
That's just one thing that I really love about this group that is kind of just formed out of really nothing other than a love for the clubs in the league. So
Yep.
just really cool.
And when the USL Championship and USL League One presidents had their press conference, the overwhelming presence in the room, or in the digital room rather, was League One podcasters. We
Mhm.
showed up.
Yep. That's what we do. And CJ asking, are we going to do a podcast next Thursday? The funny thing about me and Rich is we don't really plan it out per se. It's kind of a like, what is it? Usually Tuesday, one of us will text the other one is like, are we doing a podcast this week? But to be fair, more often than not, it's my issue. Like it has been like when we took that month break, that was on me. Last week when we didn't do a pod, that's because I had COVID. That one's on me. So it's like deflect the blame and the hate over this way. Can we get tweets the day before saying if there's a podcast or not?
Good idea from Lil Kuzi there. Yeah,
I
we can
think
do that.
I think we can definitely make that happen.
Yeah.
For sure.
Good suggestion. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And CJ, to answer the question, we will probably do a pod at some point next week, whether it'll be Thursday or a different day. I could not give you that, but generally, generally Rich and I are pretty good for Wednesdays or Thursdays. Usually those work out best for both of us.
Let's look at what the League One schedule looks like next week.
There you go. That also plays a big deal.
So
We went
there's a
Thursday this
match.
week so we could have the match yesterday happen so we could.
League
Get
One
it.
After Dark Tuesday.
Yep.
There's also a Wednesday night match. And then we have 3 on Friday. So Thursday would be the best night to do it.
It looks like it's probably Thursday.
Probably Thursday.
That also depends on Rich's schedule, obviously, too, being with the club. That obviously the day job takes priority over our nighttime gigs here. So
Well, next week we have Northern Colorado at home, so I don't have to worry about travel or anything like that. So that helps.
there we go.
Yeah.
So I guess to put a very, very, very long answer into a one-word answer, yeah, yes.
Yeah, there you go. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of League One on the Rocks. It's been a lot of fun chatting about Jägermeister Cup for the past 90 some odd minutes. Thank you for everybody for joining in for each and every one of those minutes, and putting comments and questions into the live chat. We appreciate all that stuff. Sounds like we'll be back next Thursday. So in the meantime, my name is Rich. You can find me on Twitter at I'm Rich, but I'm not. That is Brian. You can find him on Twitter at Mediocre Ace. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.